Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. We're going over my first impressions of Chaos Zero Nightmare. This is going to be, well, limited gameplay time so far. So what we're going to be covering in this is like the world, the game design as far as aesthetics are, the character design, combat, what you can expect from that. Is it just going to be Slay the Spire? Does it have some actual depth in there? And then also we're going to be touching on a couple of negative things that I don't really fully enjoy quite yet, although we're not going to dog on the game too hard. I'm just so sick of the hoyofication of the gacha system and gacha games nowadays. Let's talk about the aesthetics of the game. If you've seen anything about this game before, aesthetically, like the background, the environment and stuff, it's a little bit mix of like horror and also like space science fiction with a little bit of science fantasy. So it's got like four genres going out. There's like an anime, horror, science, fantasy, right? A little bit of space, a little bit of waifu, a little bit of crazy, evil, grotesque things that will like literally impale your characters. The death scenes in this game, when a character gets KO'd and they're gone for your run. Oh my God, it's a little shocking, actually, sometimes. Now, it's not too overly gruesome or anything, you know, it's like a silhouette thing, a little bit of that Hitchcock, like you can't exactly see what's going on, but you get the gist of just how gruesome those things are. So if you're sort of into that sort of mix of aesthetics, horror, you know, science, fantasy, it's gonna be right up your alley there. Now, as far as characters are concerned, we can take a look over here real quick. From some of the characters that we have, there's going to be a couple of factions out there, and if you're into like different kind of designs for characters, this game's going to have quite a few things for you there. Now, for me personally, I don't think a ton of the designs, especially the ones that we can showcase here, I have it on my phone. I didn't sign up for PC beta. Oops. Don't really do it. So like this one right here, right? This is like the faction, the Terra Scions. This is like the most down to earth, like basic, right? It's like, hey, we've got people in normal outfits, or maybe we got a little bit of a school outfit going on, but this is like your normal looking character designs, right? They're classy, they're unique. They look very humanoids. And then the next one here is going to be like the ones that you can see here. It's like something like the Iron Rain, which is more like the gritty adventurer style, you know, science fantasy thing. Listen, we have Maribel, who like can't fit into her clothes, I guess, is one thing out of these four here. But like these two right here, like I don't, you know, like it's fine. You know, they don't like knock my socks off. I'm not part of like the, ooh, I'm a librarian, like I'm classy aesthetic, or like the school aesthetic. It doesn't really do anything for me. These ones are a little, you know, they're cooler, you know, like this guy Luke. I like Luke's outfit here. Maribel with the, bro, she's just popping out everywhere. Honestly, she's just like everything's popping, bro. Maribel, you got to just buy one size up bigger, apparently. I don't know what's going on there. But then we have like this right here, the Silimas, right? So this is gonna be like, yes, we're gonna have some dragon fantasy-esque characters in this game. They also just might be guardians as well. Typically a lot of these like cooler, super awesome, look like they're gonna mess you up characters, they might not be playable versions. They might just be like the guardians that you use, like the weapon system that we'll talk about later on. The secondary part of the gacha is someone that you can like accrue and gain energy for and use during your combat adventures there. But this is like, if you're into like the, you know, if you're into the dragons, they've got you covered there as well, I guess. And then we have the Pelotons, dude. I know it's, I'm gonna call it the Peloton, dude. All right, get on your bicycles, guys. But as you can see, like, you know, it's like the typical science fiction, science fantasy, sort of a Honkai Star Rail, Honkai Third Impact, you know, Withering Waves, in some, you know, typical gacha stuff you see nowadays. There's nothing like crazy cool. I was really hoping we'd see like, I know we're fighting against like the horrors and the chaos and the stuff, but like some more chaos inspired characters at some point would be really cool for me. And if you're from Epic 7, we can't see it here, but Charon actually is a character in this game, and he's one of the main ones that you'll be seeing quite a bit. And he's pretty cool. Now, when it comes to gameplay stuff, so far from what I've seen, the main sort of gameplay you'll be experiencing in Chaos Zero Nightmare is going to be some roguelike game modes, roguelike elements. There are going to be some non-roguelike modes, but a lot of the time that you're going to be spending in this game is in some sort of roguelike game mode. And the best way to explain that for you there, listen, one quick analogy, Slay the Spire. There's going to be a map. You have your choices to go left, up, forward, down. Certain things will happen. Randomness will happen. You can add cards temporary to your kit, to your characters, load out some extra gear and stuff, some extra effects as you progress towards the end, and you're going to have to fight, different random enemies, maybe a mini boss, maybe some bosses. And that's pretty much the progression system of the roguelike mode. Everything you would expect from a roguelike mode is in here. And then when you're actually in combat, it is a card-based battler, and it works very similar to Slay the Spire. It has a lot of very similar mechanics. So you're going to draw X amount of cards every combat round out of the deck that you've constructed based on the characters that you've decided to bring with you on that run. And you're going to be using your characters to, gain shields so you take less damage, heal, reduce your sanity meter, do damage to opponents, increase your defenses, give them debuffs, all of that stuff. And then some of those similar mechanics that you have seen in games like Slay the Spire do creep up here. And you can definitely see that there's going to be, at least from what I can see, a pretty decent opportunity for you to build synergistic teams, right? So for some examples of mechanics, there are cards that you want to keep in your hand. You don't want to use them right away. They have this keyword called like retain, which is something that is in Slay the Spire as well. There's some cards that generate extra cards for that combat round, for that combat encounter. They might have 0 cost, and when you use them, they go back into the deck. You might be able to generate cards that you can use one time, and then they have the exhaust keyword, so then they're gone forever after you use them for that encounter. Or some cards that are just picked up throughout the run, or some cards that are in your character's kit have the exhaust just built into them, and so they will be, usable one time per an encounter. And that is expanded upon in lots of different ways with like the supports that you can use or the gear that you can find, where like your exhaust cards, get 1 extra exhaust, or you get a benefit when you retain a card. And enemies do similar things where debuffs in this game, a lot of the time, they'll add a negative effect card into your card pool. So when you're drawing your cards every turn, you might draw the negative one, and it's going to have a negative effect on you. Similar things like we've seen before in games like Slay the Spire. Primarily, it's like Slay the Spire, and we were also looking at the game, and it does have some Darkest Dungeon aesthetics to it, but does it have any Darkest Dungeon mechanics? And a lot of the gameplay stuff that you see as far as how you do damage, how you defend, how you heal, is more likened to Slay the Spire, where you can see your enemy's intent, you can see what they're going to do, and they're going to affect you with their abilities and shuffling in cards and giving you debuffs in that way. But as far as mechanics outside of combat and perpetually things that will affect you in ways for you to deal with them, there are some things that are very similar to like Darkest Dungeons, right? You can take psychic damage, you can take mental damage. Your characters will go on a mental break, and when they mentally break down, and that character is going to be like permanently stunned until you get rid of their mental break. Whereas in, it's an RNG check a lot of the times in something like Darkest Dungeon. In Chaos Zero Nightmare, that is sort of inflicted on you through the cards, right? So they'll shuffle like 3 psychic break cards into your deck, and you have to draw and play them all before your character can recover. Something like that. If your characters are defeated, it's gruesome, it's grisly, and it also does have the town sort of feeling where you got to level up your town, do different things, not micromanage, but like build up certain things like you would in Darkest Dungeon to like help your characters recover right after they're done doing their dungeon delving and stuff like that, where you can help recover them from their trauma, pat them on the back. We're not going to get, we're not going to go get flayed or whatever, or go pray like we did in Darkest Dungeon, because we're in a sci-fi thriller fantasy land or whatever, but we're going to be doing poetry and I guess, talking it out, right? And having psychological counsels and stuff like that in this game instead. But both of those games do look like they were, very inspirational when it comes to Chaos Zero Nightmare. And I do like all of that stuff. I haven't played Slay the Spire in a long time, but I would kick it up and I'd play it continuously. We used to play it on stream, years ago when it first came out, back when it was like back in beta. And I also do enjoy Darkest Dungeon as well. So having a gacha game like this with the aesthetics, I'm all for it. Now, this is the last one. This is where I'm gonna probably like give the game a little bit of what are you doing? What are you doing over there? And that's because the banner system in Chaos Zero Nightmare is objectively what I think is one of the worst feeling banner systems of any gacha game. And that is because it's not a new thing. It's just the hoyoification banner system. There is a character banner and there is a weapon banner. In Chaos Zero Nightmares, it's like a support banner or something. Both banners have a 50-50 pity system. So if you pull, you hit the pity, you're not guaranteed to get the on banner. It's a 50 on banner, 50 off banner rate. And the next time you pull, you're guaranteed to get it. And there's two different banners, one for a character and one for a support unit. To equip to your character, it's basically a weapon. I am so over these kind of banner systems. I don't know why we can't come up with something better in a lot of ways, something more engaging. Does it have soft pity? I don't know. I don't really care. I know at the end of the day, gacha games got a gacha. Listen, I get Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero. All of the games that have these banner systems do put up some nice numbers, do put up some nice money. And I'm not saying that they can't work out. And I'm not saying that we even know there's no numbers to crunch on how much currency, how many pulls we get, you know, per patch, per cycle, per week, per whatever. It could all work out where like the game's just like, yeah, here's a currency and you'll get like every other unit or every other unit and weapon if you want. And you have to double pity them. I don't know. I mean, this is the same developer of Epic 7. There's not dual banners in Epic 7. The artifact is on the character and allow you to buy the banner with a different currency that you get from destroying artifacts, right? I don't really like the double 50-50 banners. I'm not the biggest fan of that. And also the dupe system on top of that is the hoyoification of dupe systems, right? Characters get not just passive stats and stuff, right? Like in Epic 7, your crit rate imprint goes up or your team-wide speed imprint goes up. No, this is the full hoyoification of the imprint system. So they're going to be gaining new special passives, right? There's some characters that are like, there's a character that makes phantom daggers, right? And can throw phantom daggers so that cost 0 and do damage and debuff the enemy and trigger more damage. And one of her, I think it's like her fourth dupe or something. I'm not saying it's broken or whatever, but it's like whenever an enemy's defeated, like it generates a dagger in your hand or whatever. So it makes her like even better at putting debuffs up in multiple target situations if you ever built up for that, because you can use a dagger, that guy dies, get another dagger, throw a dagger over there, throw a dagger over there, you know, blow them all up sort of thing. 2 more guys die, daggers back in your hands. So that kind of stuff, it's in the game. Is it going to be a death knell to the game? I'm not really sure there with the hands. I'm not with what's going on, but I do enjoy the aesthetics. The characters are fine for me, and I really like the gameplay. That's the main takeaway here. The gameplay is so awesome. I like it a lot out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we can construct more gameplay oriented teams, because right now at the very beginning it's just like do damage, shield, do stuff, but then there's going to be more characters, as you can see, that kits actually interconnect there. So that's going to be my takeaway of Chaos Zero Nightmare right now. You guys let me know out there if you've been playing the beta as well what you think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.